Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. In today's episode, we'll be revisiting and discussing the George Floyd protests. These protests occurred just one day after the death of a 46-year-old man named George Floyd, who was murdered on May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by a tenured police officer named Derek Chauvin, who was abetted by three other officers, Tu Thao, Thomas Lane, and J. Alexander Kong. The incident began when a call from a convenience store was made with regards to a man allegedly using a fake $20 bill to buy cigarettes. Officers Lane and Kong arrived first on the scene, in which they identified their suspect as Mr. Floyd. Shortly after, the remaining officers arrived, and a struggle between them began. Floyd was pulled to the ground and laid on his stomach. That's when Chauvin placed his knee on his neck for 9.5 consecutive minutes, where witnesses recording the incident can hear Floyd in visible distress saying, "I can't breathe." Chauvin maintained his knee on Floyd's neck regardless, even past the point Floyd was unresponsive. George Floyd was pronounced dead at the hospital less than an hour after the incident. An organization called Black Lives Matter, also commonly known as BLM, held the protest. Citizens of all races of the United States came out to support on May 26, 2020, with over 140 cities in the United States being recorded to have partaken in these events. It should be noted that cities outside the United States, such as Paris, France, and Toronto, Canada, also held peaceful protests of their own. However, we will not look too deeply into that for the sake of this podcast. The protest started off peaceful, signs and messages held up in support of Mr. Floyd. Slogans such as "I can't breathe," "No justice, no peace," and "Defund the police" could be seen in this event. However, the protests did not remain completely peaceful, as many protesters vandalized city properties with graffiti and damaged as well as looted local businesses, notably in the Minneapolis region. The police departments of these respective areas responded with rubber bullets and tear gas against the protesters. The president of the time, Donald J. Trump, was also quoted saying, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." The brother of George Floyd, Felonious Floyd, also expressed his disapproval of the looting and urged protesters to remain peaceful in honor of his brother. As for the end result of the protests, all four officers in connection to the incident were fired. In the aftermath, Chauvin, the officer directly responsible for the death, was arrested for second-degree murder of George Floyd and handed a sentence of 22.5 years in jail. Meanwhile, the remaining officers were all ordered to serve over 3 years in prison each for abetting and aiding the murder of Mr. Floyd. Thank you guys for tuning in. That concludes today's segment, and thank you so much.